Hey folks, I'm sitting on our porch here with a cup of coffee, enjoying this beautiful fall morning. It's mid-September, or a little bit later than mid-September, and everything is getting so colorful everywhere. We're in a very busy season right now. I'm hunting all weekends, moose hunting, and Hannah is training dogs in the weekend, and we are processing all the stuff that we've grown, all the stuff that we've picked. So yeah, fall is always a busy season for us, but it's a very exciting season as well. Today I'm gonna build another potato bin down in our basement. We have a basement in the house underneath our kitchen floor that probably hasn't been used in decades for actually storing potatoes. There's one potato bin in there, but if we do have a good yield, I don't want to have to build another potato bin there and then. So I'm gonna build a second one today and hope that we have enough to fill both of them. It's quite steep to go down here. But yeah, this is our basement. There's one old potato bin right here. Hasn't been used in decades, and we're gonna build another one here where they had another one. We had a bunch of material already down here, so I'm gonna take that and build a second potato bin. So in our basement here we have 140 liters of fresh well water from our own well, and this is due to the fact that in January this year, January 6th I think, yeah, January 6th, our water pump broke. And it's not necessarily a huge problem, but our water pump is 70 meters down into the ground, and we didn't have the resources to sort it right away. So for about 2 months we hauled water from the creek behind the barn to make sure that our dogs had water and for us to cook and drink and everything, of course. The water was fine to drink and cook with. We boiled it, of course, and had no problems with it. But having tap water in your tap is extremely nice. So now we've decided to store some water in case that ever happens again. We at least have some water to tie us over to until we can find maybe a solution to whatever the problem might be. So this build is not necessarily a very planned build. This is just using the materials that we had down here to create something similar as the first potato bin. So hopefully it will turn out well. At least it's gonna be useful. It's probably gonna be more useful than nice, actually. So this first potato bin, as you can see, it has a slanted bottom and a wall in the front here that will catch the potatoes as you're picking them from the tray in the bottom here. And we just keep on rolling down, and in that way hopefully you don't end up with a bunch of potatoes that are stuck in the absolute bottom of the bin. Right, the first bottom piece is in. I'm just gonna space it out, put them in, cut them, and then put the sides up, the front, and then it's done. Sorry it's so hard to see in this video, but the base of the potato bin is done. Now I'm gonna put up the sides to it. I'm gonna put up the last bit of the front. I'm gonna put up a guard just like this first one has, so the potatoes just don't roll out onto the floor. And then just put up a little wall in the front there as well. And then we're home. Then we're we're able to harvest, hopefully, enough potatoes to fill these 2 bins. That would be extremely satisfying if we can do that. Alright, I put the last board in just now and it's done. The new potato bin is done. It is a little bit smaller than the old one, but hopefully it will store enough potatoes to last us through the winter.
Alright, it is really harvest season now. The nights have been going below freezing, not consistently, but it's getting there. And so we need to make sure we harvest everything before it goes bad and we can't eat it. So it's raining. We were going to go into the garden, but we're going to go into the greenhouse instead and take the pumpkins. We're going to take the tomatoes. Even though they're not ready, we're going to let them finish ripening inside. Let's go. Beautiful.
Hey, hi little guy.
So we planted our normal tomatoes very late in the season, and we sort of knew already that they might not turn out to be the best ones. But unfortunately, the few ones that we have ended up with this little ring around the bottom. Now, as I've understood it, it is the lack of regular watering, and or could be as well too much fluctuation in temperature. But if you do know why this happens, let us know. Hi buddy.
Right now what I'm doing is I'm pulling in all the plants, the pumpkin plant, because we've harvested all the pumpkins. We got 5, which was 1 for each plant. Next season, we'll either try pumpkins outside or we'll contain the pumpkins a little bit better, because they just took over this entire greenhouse. And as you can see, if you remember what it looked like before, it's much clearer now. And I think that that would have benefited the tomatoes as well. And yeah, been easier to come. It would have been easier to come in here as well. I did look at some videos about pumpkin pruning, but I was just a little too apprehensive to actually go in with the clippers and clip away things. I wasn't sure what I was doing. But next year's a new season, and we got something this year, and I'm happy about that. This is one of the cherry tomatoes. They actually can get even darker than this, but these are the sweetest, most delicious cherry tomatoes I've ever had. They're also heirloom. That means we'll pick one and we'll save the seeds from it and plant them into new plants next year.
But even if that one looked quite okay, most of them actually look like this, unfortunately. Or unfortunately, they're still mature. They just need to finish ripen and get that beautiful color inside our house instead. And we're gonna do the same thing with the chilies, because they're also, I don't know if you can see it, they're also green, turning red, some of them, a little bit at least. But I guess this is a part of growing stuff in a Arctic climate. You don't really know how the summer is going to be, if it's going to be warm enough or anything. And this is the really the first year that we're doing anything on this scale as well, so we have a lot to learn. We're very new to planting all of these things ourselves and in the quantities that we want to achieve, but we're learning. Now I'm doing some of the butchery of the moose meat. The team managed to shoot a cow earlier this week, and today we got the share from the meat. I think we're 8 or 9 people sharing on each moose that we're shooting. I'm just doing some butchering, really just cleaning these pieces up, getting some fat into the minced meat, enjoying putting stuff in the freezer for us for this winter.
the way that we wrap the meat is first we wrap it in layers of plastic wrap. And then we take some plain brown paper and roll it up. So we prefer to use the brown paper and cling film because it prevents freezer burn, and it is also really nice and tidy in the freezer, easy to identify everything, and helps keep everything nice and flat and organized so we can stack it all up in the freezer.
Alright folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's not necessarily what we usually do, but it is a little bit of an insight into our lives at the moment. It is extremely hectic with dog training, moose hunting as you saw,
and harvesting. And a little bit more berry picking and a little bit more jam making left to do. But it feels like we're on track this year, which is really exciting.
Yeah. So far, the harvest season, or so far the stuff that we've been able to harvest has not been as successful as we had hoped. But it is a learning process, and we are just taking notes on what we can do next year. And we'll have to see. Who knows? What are you gonna do about it?
We dove into this season head first and just filled the garden with everything that we could. So I think we're pretty lucky with the successes that we actually have had.
For sure.
So yeah, it's just to learn from the mistakes we've made.
Yeah.
For next year.
All right. See you next time, guys.
See ya.